Andrea Stewart has done it again. She has enchanted me with the opening of her new trilogy, just as she did with The Bone Shard's Daughter, the first novel in her Drowned Empire debut. If you care to read words about that one, you will find some in the link below. If you are more interested about the gods below, first in the Hollow Covenant series, stay a while and listen. Hakata and Rasha are sisters, separated early on by the coming restoration, a magical process that engulfs the impoverished setting of this novel. Hakata and Rasha are sisters, separated early on by the coming restoration, a magical process that engulfs the impoverished setting of this novel. Nation by nation, or realm by realm, succumbs, leaving greenery and altered behind. Alas, not all humans become altered. We're working by Thanos rules here, with 50% of the population used as biomass fuel for the transformation of the barren world into a green heaven. That leaves the sisters in the early chapters of the novel in a terrible place, you see. There is every chance that one of them will be gone, and the other transformed to get passage from their home country to the relative safety of a neighboring one. Hakata makes a desperate gamble that backfires and ultimately serves to separate the two sisters. Rasha is left behind and altered. Hakata is bound to the role of a miner for a decade, her prodigious talent to hold her breath put to good use. Past the heartbreaking, if very convenient separation, Hakata is forced into the role of a poor immigrant worker in a country not her own, without papers, rights, and even the least pretense of freedom. As for Rasha, she has found a home among other altered, in a den of Cluen, where she is slowly being shaped into an extremist and a weapon for the cruel god's ends. It is indeed Cluen who stands behind the restoration of the realms. He is a god who hunts all the other gods and seeks dominion over a restored world free of the humanity that supposedly destroyed it. If ecological decay and restoration and the plight of the sisters sounds topical, note that the world-building lends itself to symbolic readings that reflect pertinent issues to our own contemporary world. Stewart's previous trilogy also played with environmental collapse to excellent effect. The suffering of migrants takes center stage here, with both central and supporting characters sharing human stories of separation and loss. If you're worried that this might sound preachy, you needn't be. Stewart constructs a world in which these experiences are all too suitable. The translatability between the fantastic and the real, as far as symbolism goes, is to the novel's credit rather than its detriment. 3 female perspectives will carry the reader through, those of the sisters, as well as of a socialite and spy by the name of Shiwan. Hakata is guilt-ridden and bone-weary due to a decade of backbreaking work. She possesses an impressive font of willpower, which keeps her going for much of the novel. But those occasions that see the source run empty and Hakata give into despair, cathartic and painful in equal measure. Likewise, her triumphs, her joy when they materialize, magic. Rasha, meanwhile, is in the process of becoming indoctrinated by a murder cult. It is a horrible thing to witness, the light of such a character continually be snuffed out through the vilest of manipulation tactics by nearly everyone around her. Likewise, the satisfaction of her breaking the covenant forced upon her and her fellow god-killers in training offers ample reason to believe that Rasha is soon to walk a different path. Shiwan's perspective was the most engaging for me. as I am a sucker for political intrigue and high fantasy. And this character, she delivers. Quick on her feet and ever looking for an angle that will allow her to improve the position of her family. She one wears many masks, each of which is necessary for her survival. Then there are two male point of views. Mullane is a scientist looking for the home of the gods deep underground. His latest scientific breakthrough allowing him and his expedition to penetrate deep beneath the deadly ether that kills every human exposed to it. That's the same ether, by the way, which miners have to contend with, and where Hakata's talent comes into. Mullane is driven by noble, if selfish, intentions. He wishes to reach the legendary city of the gods, far underground, and to petition them to save his best friend, a young woman suffering a terminal disease. Laster Nyanen's chapters. Nyanen is one of the gods, and his perspective chronicles the doomed war against Cluen and his supporters about 1,000 years ago, if memory serves. These are almost interludes, few and far between, but they provide both historical context to the world and a perspective on one of the chief supporting characters in Hakata's storyline. I do have issues with this one. The separation between Hakata and Rasha at the novel's opening was one of those moments which come across as contrived entirely for the narrative convenience's sake. The true reason behind Hakata's inability to get her sister, likewise, doesn't come as a surprise. Now, whether you can overlook a revelation that falls a little flat, or a narrative contrivance, whether you even see as a narrative contrivance what I define so, is a question based entirely on your experience with the text. No reading experience is entirely alike. Though we all read the same words, we experience them differently. Reading is a consensual sense-making activity that involves both authorial text and really perception. You might not have the issues that I did. Likewise, you might not enjoy the elements I enjoyed. That said, what I clicked with in The Gods Below far outstrips what I wasn't convinced by. All that aside, I found it incredibly funny that some people felt an ick from the graphic sex scene in the book. Struck me as puritanical, but hey, to each their own. I found it a perfectly serviceable scene that redefined the relationship between two key characters in a satisfactory way. The magic system Stewart has devised is multifaceted, as was the one in the Drowned Empire. Breath control rests at the center of one facet, a binding between humans whereby one human draws ether and feeds it into the other. The second human pops a godstone, those being magical gemstones mined in exceptionally difficult circumstances, and breathes in ether. The godstone's magic is thus activated, and remains active for as long as the human holds their breath. The moment they loosen their breath, however, the magic loses its charge. Rinse and repeat. It's all more complex than that, too. If I have one criticism, it is that everything that's happening around the use of this magic can get a little too complex to follow. That, however, might be due to the fact I listened to the audiobook rather than reading the text. There are other facets. Restoration's rules are a source of mystery, intrigue, conflict. Gods naturally have abilities that outclass those of humans, and there are applications of magic that are only hinted at rather than shown. Nifty system with potential. This was a gripping first entry into Andrea Stewart's new trilogy, with a world and characters that made the 20-odd hours of the audiobook fly by. Not all was to my liking, but then, it needn't be. I found more than enough reasons to eagerly anticipate the next novel in the series. I hope it's not too long a wait. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Have you read anything by Andrea Stewart before? Would you like to? You might want to give her a try. If you enjoyed, of course, feel free to share this video with your friends, any reading fellas who might be interested in fantasy. I have videos coming out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays are for sci-fi reviews, Wednesdays, like today, are for fantasy reviews, and Fridays are all about miscellanea, various videos that I come up with, kind of on the spot. Essays, classical reviews, classical novel reviews, and the kind. I hope that you will stick around, ring that bell for notifications, and enjoy your time with my Tower of Books. I will see you next time. I'm Philip Magnus. You're not. Bye-bye.